July 1, 1944, Dover, England, 5:47 hours. The morning fog rolls across the white cliffs like a shroud. In a commandeered manor house overlooking the English Channel, a man stands alone at a rain-streaked window. He wears cavalry boots polished to a mirror shine. 2 ivory-handled pistols rest on his hips. 3 stars gleam on each shoulder. General George S. Patton, Jr., stares toward France, toward the war he cannot fight. 25 days ago, the greatest amphibious invasion in human history stormed the beaches of Normandy. American boys died on Omaha and Utah. British soldiers fell at Gold and Sword. Canadians bled at Juno. And Patton, he remained in England, commanding an army that does not exist, fighting a battle of shadows and silence. He grips a message in his fist, fresh orders from Supreme Headquarters, Allied Expeditionary Force, the same orders he has received for weeks. Continue current operations. Maintain radio silence regarding future movements. Do not repeat. Do not seek public recognition. Patton crumples the paper, hurls it into the cold fireplace. They want me to win a war, he mutters, without anyone knowing I'm fighting it. In the greatest military deception of the 20th century, the most recognizable general in the Allied arsenal would become a ghost. A phantom commander leading fake armies while secretly preparing to unleash real devastation. This is the story of the general who won by disappearing. Section 1, the ARCHITCTS of Deception. March 14, 1944, London, Cabinet War Rooms. 30 feet beneath the streets of Westminster, in a bunker reinforced with concrete and steel, 2 men reshape the future of Europe. Prime Minister Winston Churchill sits at the head of a table covered in maps. Cigar smoke curls toward the ventilation grates. Across from him, Supreme Allied Commander General Dwight D. Eisenhower studies reconnaissance photographs with the intensity of a surgeon examining X-rays. The problem is simple, the solution is not. The Allies will invade France, that much is certain, but success depends on one variable they cannot control: German reinforcements. If Rommel gets his panzer reserves to the beaches within 48 hours, Eisenhower says, tracing his finger across a map of Normandy, we don't have a foothold, we have a massacre. Churchill nods slowly, then we must ensure he doesn't. And how do we do that, Prime Minister? The Germans have 17 armored divisions in France. We're landing 5 divisions on the first day. The math doesn't favor us. Churchill reaches for a file marked Operation Fortitude Top Secret. He slides it across the table. We don't change the math, General. We change what the Germans believe the math to be. Eisenhower opens the file, reads, stops, looks up with something between admiration and disbelief. You want to create an entirely fake army group. Not just any army group, the largest, most powerful force the Americans have ever assembled, positioned directly across from Pas-de-Calais, threatening the shortest route to Berlin. The Germans will see through it. Not if we give them something they cannot ignore. Churchill leans forward. Not if we give them Patton. The room goes quiet except for the hum of ventilation fans. Eisenhower understands immediately. George Patton is not merely a general. He is a symbol, a brand. The Germans have studied him obsessively since North Africa. They consider him the finest tactical commander the Allies possess. Where Patton goes, the main attack follows. Everyone knows this. Everyone. We station Patton in southeast England, Churchill continues. We give him command of the 1st United States Army Group, FUSAG. On paper, it will be the most formidable force in the theater. In reality, it will be rubber tanks, wooden aircraft, radio traffic from operators who don't exist. And the Germans will believe it. The Germans will believe what they desperately want to believe, General, that Normandy is a feint, that the real invasion will come where they expect it most, at Pas-de-Calais. Eisenhower closes the file. The weight of what they're planning settles on his shoulders. Patton will hate this. Patton will do as he's ordered, and when the time comes, he will have his war. When? Churchill smiles, the smile of a man playing chess with history. When the Germans have already lost theirs. Section 2, the Phantom Army. April 1944, Southeast England, multiple locations. The deception takes shape with industrial efficiency. At airfields across Kent and Essex, aircraft appear overnight. Spitfires, B-17 bombers, P-51 Mustangs, From the air, they look ready for combat. On the ground, they are plywood and canvas, assembled by theatrical set designers recruited from Hollywood and London's West End. At tank parks near Dover, Sherman tanks crowd together in perfect rows. German reconnaissance aircraft photograph them daily. What the Luftwaffe pilots cannot see is that these Shermans are rubber, inflatable. A single soldier can carry one under his arm. Radio operators fill the airwaves with coded transmissions, supply requisitions, movement orders, complaints about delayed equipment. The traffic patterns match exactly what would be expected from an army group of 1 million men preparing for invasion. In London, double agents controlled by British intelligence feed false information to their German handlers. The invasion will come at Pas-de-Calais. The date is sometime after Normandy has been secured. Patton will lead the main thrust into the heart of Germany. And at the center of it all, General George S. Patton plays his part. He inspects rubber tanks with genuine military precision. He addresses troops who exist only on paper. He allows himself to be photographed at locations carefully chosen to reinforce German assumptions. He hates every second of it. May 3, 1944, Patton's headquarters, 14:30 hours. Patton paces his office like a caged predator. His aide, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Codman, stands near the door, braced for the storm. "Do you know what they're calling me in Washington?" Patton demands. "The million-dollar general who can't fight, a goddamn decoration." "Sir, the deception is working. Intelligence confirms the Germans are repositioning." "I don't give a damn about German repositioning. I give a damn about killing Germans, and I can't kill a single one from this ridiculous English Tea Party." He stops at his desk, picks up a newspaper clipping. The headline reads, "Bradley's First Army Prepares for Invasion." Omar Bradley, Patton says the name like a curse, "my subordinate in Sicily. Now he leads the invasion while I command toy soldiers." "General, you'll have your command. Third Army will be activated." When, after the war is over, after everyone has forgotten who George Patton is? Codman chooses his words carefully. "Perhaps, sir, being forgotten is exactly what wins this war." Patton turns, his eyes blaze, but something in Codman's words catches him. "Explain." "The Germans are terrified of you, sir, more than any other Allied commander. They won't commit their reserves until they know where you'll strike. As long as you're here, invisible, threatening, they're paralyzed." Patton stares at his aide for a long moment. "You're telling me my greatest weapon is my absence?" "Yes, sir, your silence is deafening." Patton turns back to the window, toward France, toward the war waiting for him. "Then I will be the loudest silent thing they've ever heard." Section 3, D-Day and the German Delusion. June 6, 1944, Normandy, France, 6:30 hours. The invasion begins. On 5 beaches across a 50-mile front, 156,000 Allied soldiers storm ashore. At Omaha Beach, the 1st and 29th Infantry Divisions walk into a killing field. German machine guns cut down men before they reach the waterline. Bodies pile in the surf. By noon, success hangs by a thread. In Berlin, Adolf Hitler sleeps. His aides refuse to wake him. When he finally rises at 10:00 a.m., reports flood his bunker. The invasion has begun, my Führer. American and British forces are landing in Normandy. Hitler studies the map, studies the reports, studies the position of George Patton in southeast England. "This is a diversion." Field Marshal Wilhelm Keitel hesitates. "Herr Führer, the scale of the assault suggests." "I know what it suggests. I also know where Patton is, and Patton does not lead diversionary attacks. The real invasion will come at Pas-de-Calais. Hold the 15th Army in place. Do not release the Panzer reserves." But if the Normandy beachhead is established, it will not be, because when Patton strikes at Calais with his 1,000,000 men, we will annihilate him, and then we will push the rest into the sea. The order goes out. The 15th Army, 19 divisions, including some of the finest armored units in the Wehrmacht, remains frozen in place, waiting for an attack that will never come. On the beaches of Normandy, American soldiers die not knowing that a general 300 miles away, commanding rubber tanks and phantom troops, has just saved their lives. Section 4, The Silent Warrior. July 6, 1944, London, Eisenhower's headquarters. 1 month after D-Day, the Allies have established their beachhead, but progress is agonizingly slow. The Normandy hedgerows have become a meat grinder. American casualties mount daily. Eisenhower summons Patton. George, it's time. Patton doesn't smile. He's been waiting too long for celebration. Third Armies. Activated effective August 1st. You'll take command of 3 corps, roughly 250,000 men. Once Bradley's forces break through at St. Lo, you'll exploit the gap and drive south into Brittany. And the deception continues. That's the hard part, George. Patton's jaw tightens. Explain. Eisenhower stands, walks to the map of France covering his wall. Even after you enter the fight, we need the Germans to believe FUSAG still threatens Calais, which means your victories must remain secret. No press coverage, no public announcements, no George Patton headlines. For how long? As long as possible, weeks, maybe longer. You're asking me to win a war in silence. I'm asking you to save lives, George. Every day the Germans believe you're still in England is a day they don't reinforce Normandy. Every panzer division they hold at Calais is a panzer division our boys don't have to fight. Patton stares at the map, at the territory he will conquer, at the glory he cannot claim. And if I refuse? Eisenhower meets his gaze without flinching. You won't refuse because you're a soldier, and soldiers follow orders. The silence stretches between them. Finally, Patton nods. I'll give you your silent war, Ike, but when this is over, the world will know what George Patton did. When this is over, George, the world will know. Section 5, Operation Cobra. July 25, 1944, St. Lo, France, 9:38 hours. The breakout begins. 2,500 American bombers carpet the German lines with 4,000 tons of explosives. The ground shakes like an earthquake. Entire German positions vanish in walls of fire and steel. Lieutenant General Omar Bradley's First Army pours through the gap. And behind them, unseen and unannounced, George Patton waits. July 28, General Patton stands at a forward command post, watching columns of vehicles stream past. When do we move? Asks Major General John Wood, commanding the 4th Armored Division. August 1st, officially, but I want your scouts across the line by midnight tonight. Sir, if we're spotted. We won't be spotted, we'll be too fast to spot. August 1, 1944, 1 hours. 3rd Army activates. Patton wastes nothing, not time, not ammunition, not men. His orders are brutally simple. Advance, attack, keep moving, don't stop for anything. If you run out of fuel, siphon it from captured vehicles. If you run out of ammunition, use captured ammunition. Just keep moving. His commanders have never seen anything like it. 20 miles the first day, 30 miles the second, 40 miles the third. By August 4th, 3rd Army has captured Rennes. By August 7th, they've reached Le Mans. By August 10th, they've encircled German forces in a pocket that will become known as the Falaise Gap. And still no headlines, no recognition, no George Patton on the front page. In press briefings, Bradley takes credit for 1st Army advances. Patton's name is mentioned only in passing, if at all. Reporters are told that Patton remains in England, preparing for future operations. The Germans believe it. Section 6, The Paralyzed Foe. August 5, 1944, OKW Headquarters, East Prussia. Field Marshal Cadell reviews intelligence reports with growing unease. The American breakthrough at St. Lo appears more significant than initially assessed. They have advanced over 100 kilometers in less than a week. Hitler studies the map. His eyes keep returning to Pas-de-Calais. And Patton, where is Patton? Still in England, my Führer. Our agents confirm FUSAG remains at full strength. Then this cannot be the main attack. Patton would never be held in reserve for a secondary operation. He is their best. They will use him for the killing blow. But if we reinforce Normandy now and leave Calais exposed to Patton's army group, that is exactly what Eisenhower wants. He draws our attention south while preparing to strike in the north. Hitler slams his fist on the table. Hold the 15th Army at Calais, every tank, every soldier. When Patton comes, we will be ready. At the fighting front, German commanders watch in disbelief as American forces sweep past their positions with speed they cannot match. They beg for reinforcements. They receive excuses. Patton's Phantom Army has become more powerful than his real one. The idea of him paralyzes an entire German army. Section 7. The Breaking Point. August 12, 1944. 3rd Army Headquarters, France. Patton's command post moves so fast his staff can barely keep up. Maps become outdated within hours. Communications lag behind the advance. But one thing does not change: the silence. Patton reads an American newspaper smuggled to him by an aide. The headline: Bradley's 1st Army Liberats France. He throws it against the wall. Bradley again, Bradley, always Bradley. General Hobart Gay, his chief of staff, approaches carefully. Sir, the orders are clear. We cannot. I know what the orders are, Hap. I wrote some of them, but my men are dying out there. My men are winning victories that will be studied for 100 years, and they get nothing. No credit, no recognition. Not even their families know what they've done. It's temporary, General. Eisenhower promised. Eisenhower promised me glory, not invisibility. Patton walks to the window of the farmhouse serving as his headquarters. Outside, trucks roll past carrying ammunition to the front. His war. Do you know what keeps me going, Hap? No, sir. The Germans, they still think I'm in England. They're still holding 20 divisions at Calais because they're afraid of a man commanding rubber tanks. He turns, and something like grim satisfaction crosses his face. I am winning the war from 300 miles away, without firing a shot. Then the silence is worth it. Patton pauses, the conflict visible in every line of his face. Ask me again when it's over. Section 8. The Trap SBRINGS Shut. August 19, 1944. Falaise, France. The pocket closes. German forces retreating from Normandy find themselves trapped between the British advancing from the north and Patton's 3rd Army sweeping from the south. The gap at Falaise, once 20 miles wide, shrinks to less than 1 mile. 50,000 Germans surrender, 10,000 more die. The 7th German Army effectively ceases to exist. And still, in Berlin, Hitler clings to the delusion. This is a tactical setback. Patton remains the primary threat. When he lands at Calais with fresh forces, we must be ready. His generals exchange glances. Some are beginning to suspect the truth, but fear keeps them silent. On August 21st, German intelligence finally confirms what the generals feared. My Führer, the reports from France are now conclusive. The American forces in Normandy are being commanded by General Patton. He is not in England. He has been in France for at least 3 weeks. Hitler stares at the intelligence officer. That is impossible, our agents confirmed. Our agents were deceived, my Führer. FUSAG does not exist. It was a fabrication. The tanks were inflatable. The aircraft were wooden. The radio traffic was fake. The room goes silent. Hitler's face cycles through disbelief, rage, and something that might be respect. They used Patton as a weapon without ever deploying him. They made us fear a ghost. Yes, my Führer. Hitler turns back to the map, to Normandy, to the disaster unfolding in France. Then we have been fighting phantoms, while the real enemy slipped through our fingers. The deception is over, but it no longer matters. The Allies have their foothold. The Germans have lost their chance. Patton wins twice, once with his imaginary army, once with his real one. Section 9. The Ghost BCOMES Legend. August 23, 1944. Paris. The French capital is on the verge of liberation. Eisenhower finally lifts the veil of secrecy. It's time, George, tell the world. Patton grins, for the first time in months, genuinely grins. The press conference is pandemonium. Reporters who had been told Patton was still in England discover he has been winning victories across France for nearly a month. General Patton, how did you move so fast? I didn't stop to ask permission. General, are the reports true that you captured more territory than any other Allied force? The reports are probably understated. General, what's next? Patton looks toward the east, toward Germany. Berlin, and anyone stupid enough to stand between me and it. The headlines the next day scream what they have been forbidden to print. Patton UNLEASHED, 3rd Army's secret rampage across France. The Ghost General REVALED. Patton's Phantom Command fooled HITLER. In living rooms across America, families learn for the first time that their sons and fathers have been fighting under Patton's command. In Germany, commanders realize they have been outmaneuvered by a deception so audacious they cannot quite believe it happened. Patton's war of silence is over. His war of thunder is just beginning. Section 10, The Final Drive. August 1944, May 1945. Third Army does not slow down. September, Patton's forces cross the Moselle River, the first enemy crossing since Napoleon. November, Third Army relieves the besieged garrison at Bastogne during the Battle of the Bulge, covering 150 miles in impossible winter conditions. March 1945, Third Army crosses the Rhine into Germany itself. April, Patton's tanks liberate the Buchenwald and Ohrdruf concentration camps, forcing local German civilians to witness what their regime has done. May 8, 1945, Germany surrenders. In the final accounting, Third Army has killed or wounded 144,500 enemy soldiers, captured 956,000 prisoners, liberated 81,522 square miles of territory, advanced faster and farther than any army in military history. And it began with a lie, a ghost army, a general commanding phantoms. Section 11, Historical Verdict. Historians would later call Operation Fortitude the most successful military deception ever conceived. Dr. John Keegan, the renowned military historian, wrote, "The genius of Fortitude was not the deception itself. Armies had used false camps and fake equipment before. The genius was using Patton. The Germans could not conceive that the Allies would waste their most aggressive commander on a feint. Their own logic became their prison." General Walter Bedell Smith, Eisenhower's chief of staff, put it more simply: Patton won 2 campaigns in 1944. The first was entirely imaginary. The second was anything but. Both were essential to victory. The statistics tell part of the story. The 15th German Army, 150,000 men, 1,500 tanks, remained at Pas-de-Calais for 7 weeks after D-Day, waiting for an invasion that never came. Had those forces been committed to Normandy in the first days, the outcome might have been catastrophically different. But the numbers cannot capture what the deception meant to one man. Patton, who craved glory above almost all else, was asked to win in darkness, to sacrifice the recognition he lived for, to let others take credit while he did the dying. In his diary, on the night before the secret was finally revealed, he wrote, "They ask me to be a ghost, to haunt the Germans with my absence. I have never done anything harder in my life, and I have never done anything more important." It was perhaps his finest hour, not the tank charges across France, not the relief of Bastogne, not the crossing of the Rhine. The moment when George S. Patton, the most egotistical, glory-hungry general of his generation, chose to disappear. December 21, 1945, Heidelberg, Germany. General George S. Patton lies in a hospital bed, paralyzed from a car accident 9 days earlier. He knows he is dying. An aide reads him letters from home, from soldiers he commanded, from families of men who survived because of his speed, his aggression, his refusal to stop. One letter catches his attention. It is from a private who landed on Omaha Beach on D-Day. "General," the soldier writes, "I didn't know you were the one keeping the Germans away from us. None of us did. We just knew we made it off that beach alive. Now I know why. You were our ghost. You saved us by being invisible." Patton closes his eyes. In the greatest military deception of the 20th century, the most famous general in the Allied arsenal became a phantom. He commanded rubber tanks and convinced Hitler to hold back real ones. He won victories in silence so others could survive in the light. He was the general who won by disappearing. And in the end, the ghost became the legend.